Wake up before you fall asleep. If you follow me on social media, you've probably heard me say, wake up before you fall asleep before. All my brother wanted to do was have a men's fishing trip. My brother wanted all the men in the family to go fishing. But what happened is my brother ended up drowning. And my cousin tried to save my brother and they both drowned. Now, this happened October 2009. It was a change in my life forever, losing my big brother and losing my first cousin at the same time. So I want to give you a little more detail. Why did I come up with the saying, wake up before you fall asleep? Because my brother died at 29 years old and my cousin died at 27 years old. And I knew then, when my brother died so young and my cousin died so young, I realized something, that life is short. And I told myself, you better wake up, which means start living before you fall asleep, before you die. So that's where the concept came from. So let me rewind and give you the history of what happened. I grew up in the area in Houston, Texas called Horn Clark. I grew up in some project apartments called Aristocrat. Me and my brother were well-known artists at this time. We did music all over the world. We've been doing music since we were little kids, since we were like in the 5th or the 6th grade, since we were young boys. I grew up with a mother and my father for a little bit. My father stayed with us for a little bit, and my mother and my father departed. My mother did her best. She raised me and my brother in some apartments where she could not really control us. You see what I'm saying? My mother tried her best. But for a woman to raise two young men in that type of environment, it was uncontrollable. So me and my brother, we began to do things. We were not perfect. We didn't get into a lot of trouble, but we were far from perfect. I grew up, I had a baby sister. My little sister died when she was 12 years old. My sister's name was Darren Crumity. She died at the age of 12 years old. She had muscular dystrophy. And that's kind of a disorder. It's a nerve disorder. When she was born regular, she could walk, she can talk, but the nerve disorder, it made her become basically almost like a vegetable. And when she died at 12 years old, that really inspired me and my brother to really to do our music. Me and my brother, we had a group called Texas Tantrum. And inside of that group, well, we had other members, we had other friends, we had basically our whole community, our whole apartment complex was with us. And me and my brother, from the age of I want to say 12, 13 years old, we did music. We would go to different studios. We would be recording. We would even go to clubs. We would sneak into clubs. My mother came home one day. I was in the 8th grade. I was going to Darlin Middle School. My mother came home one day. She said, y'all get dressed. She said, I want to take y'all to a talent show. Now, if you're from Houston, Texas, you might remember this club. It's called Club Caravana. And me and my brother, we used to go there and perform, I think it was Monday nights. We used to go there and perform every Monday night. And we would be in there recording. I mean, we would be in there rapping. We would be up in there singing, doing our music. So we in these talent shows every week. And everybody would always come to me and my brother. And they would say, man, y'all are so talented. Why y'all not signed? What happened? But they didn't understand God was preparing us for what he had prepared for us. So this is in middle school. Now we done moved on. Now we done learned the game. We done start recording on a karaoke machine. We rapping. We all in Horn Clark rapping all over Houston, Texas. We going to Club Unique. So around this time, that was a popular DJ in Houston, Texas. And you might have heard of this DJ. His name was DJ Screw. That's right, the famous, infamous DJ Screw, Robert Earl Davis. Well, DJ Screw had a brother named Al D. Al D moved right in our apartments in Aristocrat. So I had a friend who knew Al D. I didn't know who Al D was because at this time when I met Al D, I wasn't hip to the Screw music yet. I had heard of it, but I really hadn't listened to it yet. So my friend took me to Al D's house. And so Al D heard me and my brother singing and rapping. So Al D was like, man, He said, I gotta tell my friend about, I gotta tell my brother about y'all. So guess what? LD called DJ Screw. Yes, this is a true story. LD called DJ Screw. I never forgot this day. DJ Screw pull up in Aristocrat by the basketball court in a black SS Impala. DJ Screw, he get out. My brother, we had this song. My brother get out. My DJ Screw get out the car. My brother started singing. I started rapping. Man, look, DJ Screw said, listen, I'm not doing music right now at the time. He said he didn't have a record company. He said he's going to start a record company in the future. He said, but I got a friend. His name Din Din. He said they got a record company called Straight Profit Records. He said, I want to take y'all to him. So at the time, Straight Profit Records had an artist that was on a platinum song, very popular song. You may have heard of it. The song was called Wanna Be a Baller. And the song was sung by an artist named Youngster. So we were blessed to go and be around Youngster and Wood and Grace. I mean, Los from the Screwed Up Clique, man. We were with Straight Profit Records, and it was such a blessing to be around Din Din at the time, Double J. It was such a blessing to be around all of these guys, man. You know, people, Zero was there. You know, it was such a blessing to be around all of these people. So we did music. We learned the game ourselves. What we started doing was we started printing up our own CDs. We started printing up our own CDs. We started going on the road to sell it because we learned the game. We learned how to travel and get merchandise. So we would go city to city, state to state, selling CDs out the trunk. I'm talking about going to make thousands of dollars in one night, living the life that we always want to live because we always wanted to do music. That was like something that we were very, very passionate about, something that we love to do. So we doing music. Now by this time, we done learned the game. Now by this time, we putting out our own albums. So fast forward a little bit. So now we've been on these record labels. We've traveled the world. We sold CDs out the trunk. So now you got fast forward. We working on different projects. We working on our new album with Money Rules Records. So we come back up to what I originally was talking to you about. We come up to the situation where one day my brother said, I want all the men in my family to go fishing. Now this particular weekend I couldn't go because I had something to do. I had something very important to do. So I couldn't go. But all the men in my family went. My brother was out there. My cousin was out there. My uncles was out there. I mean, I wish I could have went. I was mad that I couldn't go. But everybody in my family was out there. All the men in my family. So my brother was out there fishing. This is the story I got told by my nephew, his son, and by my uncle. They say my brother was out there fishing. And as my brother was fishing, my brother started drowning. And when my brother started drowning, my cousin tried to save my brother. Big Tantrum. My brother's name was Big Tantrum. My cousin's name was Terrell. And when my brother started drowning, my cousin tried to save my brother. And they both drowned. They drowned. And when I got the phone call, I never forget that morning. I was a young minister. I had gave my life to Christ. You see, because I left the music industry. I left the rap game because God had called me to a new calling. And I don't know about you, and I don't know what you have planned for your life, but your plans, if they don't line up with God's plans, then your plans are not going to help you fulfill your purpose. I never forgot that day. I was praying. I was in the middle of praying. And when I pray, I always put my phone on silent. And when I got up, I looked at my phone. I had over 30 missed calls from one of my aunts. And when I finally called my aunt back, I said, what's going on? She said, your brother and your cousin, she said they can't find them. Now at this time, I'm thinking about my brother because I know my brother. I say, well, it's no telling what my brother is doing. She said, no, they can't find your brother. Your brother is in the water somewhere. He went under the water. I said, my God. And I was going to preach at a church this Sunday. I was going to preach at a youth event. So I called the pastor that I was going to preach at his church. I said, I won't be able to go. I have to go. I say, I have a family emergency. So when we were riding down to the beach, the Spirit of God showed me that my brother and my cousin was dead. They showed me that my brother and my cousin had went underwater and drowned. And I began to see hundreds and thousands of people at a church, at a big place. And I began to see myself preaching this funeral. And this was so hard for me because one part of me did not want to realize that my brother was dead. I didn't want to realize that my cousin was dead. It was something that I did not want to accept this because my brother was not only my brother, but he was my best friend. Me and my brother hung together. We wasn't like a lot of brothers. I know some brothers that you wouldn't even know that they were brothers because they don't be around each other. Me and my brother, we had the same friends. We hung together every day. We did music together. We were business partners. We lived life together. So for me to have to accept that somebody I've been knowing I've been knowing my whole life, that I've been close with, tied to, was gone, and my cousin, he was a cousin, but we were close, to realize that these two guys were gone, and all my brother wanted to do was go fishing. That's all he wanted to do. And I realized something, that life is short. You think you have forever. You think you have till you 50 and you 60 and you 70 and you plan your life out. You procrastinate on things that you know that you're supposed to be doing. But little do you know, we are all here put on earth for a limited amount of time. And tomorrow is not promised to us. So that's why today we have to live a life that is intentional. That's why today we have to live a purpose-driven life. That's why you hear me say on all my videos, I always say, wake up before you fall asleep. I'm not just saying something to say it. When I say wake up, I mean stop existing and start living. When I say before you fall asleep, I mean wake up, start living before you die. Stop existing and start living. You have a purpose for your life. God created you because you are a solution to the problems of this world. But what you and I have to do, we have to discover our gift. You may ask yourself, or you may even be wondering, what is my gift? Your gift is your natural talent. Your gift is that thing that you love to do. Your gift is that idea that will not go away. You have so much greatness on the inside of you. You think that you have done everything that you were supposed to do, but God is saying you still have more to accomplish. Everything that you have accomplished in your life is just the initiation process. People think they know you, but they do not know you. Because who you really are has not been fully manifested. There's so much work for you to do. I'm telling you, what you and I have to do is to begin to examine ourselves. Be honest with yourself. Are you doing everything that you know that you are capable of doing? You see, you can't live a life where you're comparing yourself to the next person and saying, well, at least I'm not like him. At least I'm not like her. No, you can't do that because that's not how you define success. How you define success, let me tell you what success is. Success is fulfillment of purpose. That's what true success is. When you are fulfilling your purpose. When I say purpose, I mean intent. I mean the reason why you were created. Are you doing what you were born to do? I want to let you in on a secret. You can do anything and you can be anything, but you have to be very intentional. And when I say intentional, I mean focused. You have to begin to focus and block everything else out. Block any and everything out. Block people out. Anybody in your life that is a distraction to you. Anybody in your life that has come into your life and they are pulling you away from the assignment that God gave you birth to complete. You need to get rid of that distraction. You need to block out those people. And for some of you, that may be family members, that may be friends. You might say, well, what if I'm married to my distraction? I'm not telling you to get a divorce, but what I will tell you is that you were not born with your spouse. And you cannot use your spouse, your children, your wife, your husband, your job. You cannot use anything for an excuse why you are not accomplishing what you are supposed to be accomplishing. It is time for you and I to start reading books. When is the last time you read a good book? Do you know that there are people who have succeeded in the very thing that you want to do? And they have written a book about how they did it. But if you don't read the book, if you don't take time to watch the videos, you will never be what you were created to be. It is time for us to wake up. The time is now. Tomorrow is not promised to nobody. I don't care how much you exercise. I don't care how good you eat. Do you know you can die in a car accident? And I'm not saying anyone's going to pass away. God forbid. But what I am saying is, time is not on your side. Do you know every moment, every second that goes by, that's your life going by? See, if we looked at time in a different perspective, I believe that we would be more intentional with our life. Do you know that your time is your life? When you go to a graveyard and you see someone's headstone, you see the year that they were born. And right after the year that they were born, there's a dash. It's a small little dash. And then there's the year that they died. That small dash that represents time. See, you become what you spend your time doing. Whatever you spend your time doing, you become. Your time is your life. And if you realize that your time is your life, you will be real careful how you spend your time. See, me, I'm real careful with my time. People can't just call me and say, hey, I want to see you. People can't just call me and say, let's do lunch tomorrow at 12. Because I want to know why. I want to know what are we going to talk about. I want to know why you want to meet me. Because I don't have time to waste. I'm very intentional with my time. And yes, I'm not saying spend time with your loved ones. Spend time with your friends. But make it count. You don't have time to sit around. You only have time to utilize your time. You only have time to be intentional. You only have time to be productive. You don't have time to waste time. Because your time is your life. So don't allow people to just drop by. Don't let nobody just drop, oh, I just wanted to see you. No. Now, you only have a little bit of time on this earth. And you don't know how long that time is. For some people, it's 90 years, it's 100 years. But I just told you about my brother that died at the age of 29. My brother died October 11th, 2009. His birthday was October 23rd. We buried him October 24th, 2009. We buried my brother the day after his birthday. And the weekend my brother went to go fishing, I saw my brother that Friday night. And I was joking with my brother. And I was laughing with my brother. And my brother left a cooler at my grandmother's house. We always at my grandmother's house before my brother went to go fishing. And my brother left a cooler. And I called my brother. And I say, you left a cooler at grandmother's house. He said, can you bring me the cooler? I said, I'll bring you the cooler. And when I brought them the cooler, the Spirit of God told me, pray with your brother. Pray with your family before they leave. And I prayed with them. I prayed with my brother. And we talked and we laughed. And that was the last time I saw my brother alive. And my brother thought that he was going to go fishing. And he thought after he would go fishing, he thought he was going to come back. But little did he know his time was up. Little did my cousin know his time was up. See, you never know when your time is up. You never know when God is calling you home. So you have to live every day like it's your last one. That's why I say, wake up before you fall asleep. It's not just a saying. It's a way of life for me. I say it to remind myself to not just exist, but I say it so that I can live, so that I can be intentional with every moment, in every second, so I can be a father, a husband, so that I can be a friend to my friends, so that I can be there for people. I'm very intentional with my life. And that's why I'm telling you, brothers. That's why I'm telling you, my sisters. I'm telling anybody who is hearing me right now. Begin to live a life that leads you to your purpose. Begin to live a life that helps you fulfill your life assignments. One of the most important discoveries that you will ever make is when you discover who you are. And one of the most important things that you will ever do is when you decide to become who you are. You see, that's what makes you successful. That's what makes you a leader. When you discover what you were born to do and you decide to do it. Everything you need to do, God has placed on the inside of you. But it is up to you to manifest who you really are. See, you have to manifest who you are because you were born that. But what does a seed have to do? In order for a seed to become a tree, what does a seed have to do? A seed has to stop being a seed and become a tree. See, the problem with society now is people don't want to change. Because you think who you are is who you were born to be. But that's not true. Who you are is not who you were born to be. Because you've been molded by society. You've been molded by this world. You've been molded by the corruption of music and movies. You've been molded by your fraternity brothers. You've been molded by the neighborhood you grew up in. That's why I say you have yet to become who you were created to be. So in order for a seed to become a tree, it has to stop being a seed. So in order for you to be who you were created to be, you got to stop being who you are. You got to stop being who you are and become who you were born to be. Stop trying to do everything. Sometimes when I meet people and I give them my background and I tell them what I'm doing, they say, oh, you do everything. And I correct them say I do not do everything. But I say everything that I do is lined up with my purpose. Everything that I do is lined up with my life and my life assignments. Because I know who I am. I didn't always know this. But when I discover who I am, when I discover why God created me, I am in pursuit of being who God created me to be. I don't want to be nothing else. I don't want to be nobody else. I don't want to live the life I once lived. Because I knew and I realized I knew that change had to happen. See, I saw who I was in my head. But how to become who I saw in my head, that means I had to get rid of the person that I was. Because I was molded by the neighborhood I grew up in. I grew up in the hood. So I was molded in that neighborhood. I was molded by the guys that raised me, who I called my OGs. I was molded by the schools I went to. I was molded by the music I went to. I was molded by the movies I watched. I was molded by society. I was molded by the world. But that's not who God created me to be. God created me to be the person who you are seeing, who you are listening to right now. So that's why I'm encouraging each and every person to wake up before you fall asleep. Remember, it's not just a saying. It's not some cool catchphrase. But when I say wake up before you fall asleep, I'm saying stop existing and start living. Stop being a seed. You cannot develop being a seed. You see, you are a seed, but you were sent to earth to produce a tree that bears leaves and fruit. Let me ask you something. Does a tree eat its own fruit? No. Everybody else eats the fruit of the tree. The fruit of the tree is for other people. So the gift that God has given you is not for you to hold, but the gift that God has given you is for you to be a gift to other people. God wants you to bear fruit in this world. God wants you to become who you are. There are people who are waiting on you to become who you are. There's a first century leader, a first century writer and a preacher. He said even creation is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. Even creation is waiting for human beings to become what the Creator created us to be. That's why I'm encouraging you to wake up before you fall asleep. I want to tell you something. If you understood how serious life is, if you understood how that life is not a game, but life is very serious, you have to begin to focus on your purpose. Focus on who God created you to be. You're not just a black man. You're not just a black woman. You're not just a white woman. You're not just a white man. Stop being black and white and brown and all of these races. You are a spirit. And you live in a body. And you come from somewhere. You did not always exist on earth. But God took you from eternity. And He placed you in a body. And He sent you forth to your mother's womb. Your mother produced the body. But the spirit, which you are a spirit, it came from God. And God had an assignment for you. That's why God told Jeremiah, He said, before you were born in your mother's womb, He said, I knew you. You have so much greatness on the inside of you. You have to tap into your inner powers. You have to tap into your inner self and become what you were created to be. That's why I'm saying, wake up before you fall asleep. I'm encouraging you today, as you hear me pouring out my heart to you, I'm encouraging you to wake up before you fall asleep. Are you just existing Or are you merely, are you just existing, or are you living? Are you just getting by? Are you satisfied with life has given you? You can't be satisfied with what life has given you. That's not how God created you. God created you to become. What are you becoming? Are you becoming the great person who God created you to be? Or are you just sitting around, getting high, getting drunk, living life, partying? God did not send you to earth just to work and go to school and pay bills and live life and then die. No, God sent you to earth because you are a solution. God sent you to earth because that was a problem that needed to be solved, and he wants you to solve it. But you will never be able to discover your gift until you begin to focus. When you're focused, when I'm focused on something, I'm blocking everything else out. I'm blocking everything else out. You got to start blocking out everything. You are so timid. You are allowing people who you call haters to stop you from doing what you're supposed to be doing. You can't do that. Don't worry about who your haters are. Look, let me tell you something. You cannot worry about your haters. As a matter of fact, if you hear your haters talking about you, do not respond. Don't say nothing to them. Let me tell you something. Have you ever seen a dog barking and he's barking at the moon? Sure you have. Dogs bark. Dogs bark at anything. They hear somebody walking. They hear a leaf fall from the tree. They barking. They bark at the moon. But have you ever seen the moon bark at the dog? You've never seen that before. The moon is not worried about that dog. And you got to be like the moon. Either you're going to be like the moon or you're going to be like the dog. And I prefer to be like the moon. I don't care what my haters say, because people are going to talk about you regardless. But you cannot let people stop you from being who God created you to be. You can't let your friends, if you got to get a whole new group of friends, get around people who are going somewhere. Because let me tell you, people are very strange. People are not doing nothing and they want you to do nothing with them. People are not going anywhere and they want you to go nowhere with them. So you got to get around people who are trying to do something with their lives. You got to get around people who are actually going somewhere. You got to get around some friends that's going to be honest with you and tell you, man, you got to stop doing this. You can't live like this. You got to change your life. And that's why I'm here to tell you, tomorrow is not promised to any one of us. Let me tell you something. We got to wake up before we fall asleep. The time is now. Remember I said before, your time is your life. Your time is your life. I want you to picture a grave site. And I want you to picture the headstone at the grave site. And I want you to picture the year. And I want you to picture that little dash in the middle. Remember I said that dash represents time. The richest place on earth is the graveyard. Because the graveyard is full of so many unwritten songs. It's full of so many unwritten books. It's full of so many people that did not complete their life assignment. So many people who died wasting their time. So many people who died procrastinating. So many people that died saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Don't be one of them. Don't let the graveyard rob you of who you really are. And if you die without manifesting your gift, you also are a generational thief. You have stolen from us. You are a generational thief because you have not become who God created you to be. You did not bless your generation with your gift. That's why I'm saying we got to wake up before we fall asleep. It's not a catchphrase. It's not something cool to say. I mean this with all my heart, with everything in me. I mean this because God has put this on my heart to tell the entire world that we gotta wake up, y'all. Stop being distracted with everything that's going on the news and everything. No. You got to get distracted with your life assignment. You got to get distracted with your purpose. You got to get distracted with who you were born to be and who you were created to be. Start pursuing your life assignment. Evaluate yourself. Take an honest look at your life. I want to tell you something. When I discovered my purpose, when I discovered my gift, I began to pursue it. Now you got to discover your gift. Remember, your gift is your natural talent. Remember, your gift is what you were born to do. Stop living in the past. Some of you went to school. Some of you may have dropped out of school. Some of you went to school. You were not the smartest person in school. Some of you went to school and you were the smartest person. But you still didn't become what you know that you can do. You didn't accomplish the things that you know that you can accomplish. Because you got distracted with the world. And you got off track. But I want to tell you something. If you begin to focus, if you begin to live an intentional life, you can get back on track. See, you got to look at life like this. Life is like somebody driving down the freeway. And as somebody driving down the freeway, there are many exits as you drive. There are many exits. Now, as you drive on the freeway, I want to let you know something. There are many exits, and there's no such thing as the wrong exit. Because you can take any exit. But I want to tell you something. If you don't get off at the right exit, you will never get to where you're trying to go. What makes an exit to the right exit? What makes an exit the right exit is destination. You see, if I'm trying to go to New Orleans from Houston, and I get off at an exit that's leading me to San Antonio, it's not a wrong exit. The problem is, it's not the right exit. You see, what makes it right is it leading me to where I'm trying to go? Is it helping me be the place I'm trying to be? No. So I can't take that exit. And that's how life is. The place where you ended up right now, the life that you are living right now, is it the life that you're supposed to be living? Are you at the place where you're supposed to be? Or did you just settle because that's where you landed? Did you become what mama wanted you to be? Did you become what daddy wanted you to be? Did you become what your friends wanted you to be? Have you become what society wants you to be? Or are you what you were created to be? Are you who you were created to be? Are you doing what you were created to do? You see, that's what life is all about. That's what life is all about. Life is not about you just making a decision. Life is about you making the right decision. Life is about you making decisions that's leading you to your destiny, that's leading you to your purpose, that's helping you fulfill your assignments. You see, my brother, he thought that he would live. He had plans. My brother called me right before he died, like 2 days before. Because I left the music industry and God called me to a calling. I began to preach. I became a pastor. And God called me out of the world. God called me from the streets. God called me from a very ungodly lifestyle. And I did not know it, but I even impacted my brother's life. And my brother called me. And he said, Black. That was my nickname. That's what he called me. He said, I'm about to finish this last album. And he said, after I finish this album, he said, I'm going to come do gospel rap with you. You see, my brother thought he had time to finish doing what he wanted to do. And then he thought he had time to do what God wanted him to do. But my brother didn't know his time was up. You see, I look at death like this. When it's your time to go, your time expires. Once your time expires, anything can cause your death. But I want to tell you something. When your time expires, you don't know. It's like a bad tire. I don't know about you, but I've had bad tires before. And I remember one time I was riding on a bad tire, and I finally pulled. I said, let me go ahead and get this tire fixed, because as I was driving, I was feeling a little wobble. And when I pulled up to the tire station, the guy said, man, I'm glad you came, because this tire ain't no good. It would have went out at any moment. See, before I got to the tire shop, the tire was already bad. The tire was already expired. I just didn't know that the time of the tire was expired, and that any day the tire could have went out on me. Well, that's how I look at life when someone dies. You see, people don't just die. Their time expires. And once your time expires, anything can cause your death. But you have to understand what death is. You see, some people think that death is when somebody just leaves and they're gone forever. No. That's not what death is. Death, listen to what I'm about to tell you, because you need to understand this. Some of you have lost loved ones. You have lost your husband. You have lost your wife. You have lost your friends, your cousins. You have lost people in your life. Let me tell you what death is. Death is when your spirit leaves your body. Because you have to understand something. Remember, please listen to me. You are a spirit being. What you see in the mirror is not you. What's looking in the mirror is you. You are a spirit that lives inside of a body. You are a spirit that possesses a soul, a thinking capacity. That soul possesses a mind, a will, and an emotion. That's what you are. You are a spirit. You have a soul, and you live in a body. So when someone dies, the spirit leaves the body, and the spirit transitions into another world, the world of the dead. Yes, there's another world. In the ancient book called the Bible, in the book of Peter, the Bible talks about Jesus going to preach when he died to the dead. There's a world outside of this world, and it's in another dimension. You and I just can't see it because we are still alive, and we are spirits that are still alive, living in our body that is alive. But the moment this body is no good, the body is what dies. The spirit lives forever. But you never know when the body will die. You never know when the expiration time on the body is up. You can be eating an apple. You can be playing a game of basketball in good health and going for a slam dunk and fall and hurt. You never know when the time is expired. That's why I keep saying, wake up before you fall asleep. You can be a young mother. You can be a father. You never know when your time is up. That's why we have to start living. Because when your time is expired, at any moment you can go. So that's why we have to begin to wake up before we fall asleep. We have to start living before we die. That's why I keep using the word intentional. That's why I keep using the word focus. Because in order for you to wake up before you fall asleep, you have to become very intentional. You have to become very focused. You have to be very deliberate with your decisions. You have to realize that you don't have time to waste. You have to realize that your time is your life. There is no time to play games anymore. You don't have time to waste time with people. You have a life assignment. And I'm telling you, you do not want to leave this earth without becoming who you were created to be. Don't let this world rob you. Don't let people rob you. You were created for so much greatness. There's so much power on the inside of you waiting to be manifested. You have to get connected to the right power. How do you get connected to the right power? Okay, I'm going to give you some tips. First thing you have to start doing, remember I said, what does the seed have to do in order to become a tree? It has to stop being a seed. So the first thing you have to do, stop being what you have been all these years. Stop being that. What else do you have to do? Now you have to change the way you think. Why is it so important for you to change the way you think? Listen to me. Because what you think is more important than what you do. Because what you do is actually what you think. Okay? How do you change the way you think? I'm glad you asked. You have to get rid of all the information that you have. Everything your mother taught you, everything your father taught you, everything you learned from your friends, everything you learned in college, in high school, you have to get rid of all of that. And you have to put in new information. You have to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? You have to ask yourself, what is my gift? Remember, your gift is your natural talent. Remember, your gift is the thing you love to do. Remember, your gift is the idea that will not go away. So you have to find something that you're very passionate about. You have to find something that you love to do, something you would do for free, something you've always wanted to do, and you have to pursue it. Even if it's challenging, you have to pursue it. And you have to pursue it for the rest of your life. Like your life depends on it. Okay? And you have to stay focused and intentional. You have to read books. You have to listen to the right videos. You have to get around the right people. You have to get people in your life who will be honest with you. People in your life who will help you get to where you need to go. I don't care if that boils down to one friend. If you are the smartest person in your circle, you need a group of new friends. Because you need to be around people who you can learn from. Because at this point right now, it's time to start transforming. It's time for us to start becoming who we were created to be. Okay? So those are things that you have to do. You have to stay focused and you have to be very, very intentional. Okay? Now wake up before you fall asleep. I'm going to do a part 2 to this because this is some very, very important information that we're going to do. If you have any questions, I want you to inbox me. I want you to email me. I want you to reach out to me. Ask me any questions. God bless you and thank you for tuning in tonight. And wake up before you fall asleep.